Hey everyone, it's Dr. Ramani. Welcome back to this YouTube channel on narcissism and narcissistic relationships and healing from narcissistic relationships. Let's talk a little bit about heartbreak. Broken hearts, heartbreak, right? See, the thing with these relationships, it's not about the heartbreak, it's about the feeling crazy. Because there's heartbreak and then there's capital H, heartbreak. I mean, a broken heart always feels terrible, right? And we can't compare broken hearts across people. Does a heartbreak feel worse because the relationship lasted longer? Not necessarily. And heartbreak in general actually is getting to be, increasingly people are studying it. It's been studied by physicians and researchers and psychologists and sociologists. The pain is real. There are actually real cardiac effects from heartbreak. We process it similarly to physical pain. It literally hurts us. The physiological effects are also related to the stress of a broken heart. Broken hearts actually do break our hearts. It's a whole thing, all of this heartbreak stuff, right? And when we look backwards across our lifetimes at our broken hearts that have healed, and we can close our eyes and remember when our heart first got broken, and we really remember what that felt like, we gotta sometimes wonder, how do we get to the other side? But most of us get to the other side. And hearts aren't just broken in romantic relationships. It can happen in family relationships and friendships with anyone we love, romantic or not. Our heart can be broken. But obviously, the romantic heartbreaks are the ones that get most of the focus, right? Then, though, there is the narcissistic broken heart. The broken heart we have from the narcissistic relationship. And as you know, I've lately been chatting with more people than ever because of the book. And I have talked to lots of folks lately about their broken hearts in narcissistic relationships. The trauma bond can take a broken heart and elevate it to the level of sheer panic. The idea that this is not just the loss of a relationship when a narcissistic relationship ends, but as though a physical part of you was yanked off. But the more I talked to folks, I realized that the broken heart, as painful as it was, may not have been as primary an issue with folks recovering from narcissistic relationships that were ending. The thing that was really the issue was the feeling crazy. I know we're not supposed to use the word crazy, that it's not a technical or even a kind term, but I gotta be frank with you. I sat with this for a minute. It's the only word that works here. You literally feel upside down, not sane, almost in another universe. You feel crazy. And this is the word my clients and folks in these relationships use. I have used it to describe myself in these relationships, because here's the deal. People in narcissistic relationships, in the majority of cases, know that the relationship was not good. At some level, you're like, this is not good. It was mean, it was unkind, it was unpredictable, it was manipulative. The thinking part of your mind gets it. The trauma bonding is what often supersedes that, and we lose sight of it. But when it ends, yeah, it hurts and it's painful, and you may fall into euphoric recall. But there's a tiny part of you that also knew that there was no there in that relationship. It's very different than the heartbreak of losing the sweet love of your life after 50 years, for example. But let's go back to that part about feeling crazy, because that's really the issue. The months, even perhaps the years of walking around and asking yourself, how did I not see this? How did nobody see this? Why does everybody still rally around them? Why did I put up with this? There were good days, right? Why would someone be willing to make someone they were married to for 50 years and who raised children with them? Why are they trying to make it so I can't even afford a place to rent? How could someone do something so cruel? Maybe I don't understand people. Maybe I am not reading this right. This can't be right. I don't live in a Lifetime movie. They had a normal job and friends. How did they move on so quickly? How is this new person not seeing it? Maybe I wasn't trying hard enough. You know the carousel. Round and round you go, trying to make your existing sense of this mess, but actually now whatever insanity you were feeling, it feels multiplied 100-fold. You feel crazy. And being made to feel crazy is a terrible thing to do to someone, frankly. And maybe I'm jaded because of what I do for a living. In fact, I know I am. I actually think it's worse to leave someone feeling crazy than it is to break their heart. Hearts heal. I've been in this business for decades. Hearts heal. It's amazing to see before and after pictures of heartbreak, the person who can barely get out of bed to the person who shrugs their shoulders and is even able to make meaning out of their broken heart. But a relationship that leaves someone feeling as though they are crazy, that's just plain wrong. Gaslighting, which is a key dynamic of these kinds of narcissistic relationships, meant that we likely felt crazy while we were in the relationship itself. So when it ends, especially if it was a betrayal or a big barrel of lies, or they move on quickly with someone else, or even when we did every single thing they asked us to, that they still leave and say it wasn't working, and that gets multiplied by all the gaslighted stuff that happened in the relationship, we feel crazy. I have worked with hundreds of folks on this, and the heartache, heartbreak part, listen, I don't mean to minimize it because I know it hurts. That's what I call, though, the psychological chicken soup part. I know they're going to get to the other side through empathy and time and soothing. But the crazy part, folks, healing from that can sometimes take years, literally years. Because even years out, even when a person is well into their healing, the heartbreak, it starts to feel like an ancient blip. People may, for example, I don't know, run into someone else new that they meet who's going through a narcissistic divorce or a relationship, and some of those old feelings will come up. And a person may go back into that old sense of that relationship and all of it that happened. When I think about it, it still makes me feel crazy. To be made to feel crazy is to be destabilized. All of us learned, even in our childhood storybooks, that hearts break. But when we are destabilized, we stop trusting. We stop trusting ourselves. We stop trusting the world. We doubt our perspectives. We wonder if we're even reading situations right. We dig into our own vulnerabilities and struggles with self-worth. And we wonder if we are the problem. Doing that helps us feel some kind of control over the situation, but it sure as hell doesn't uncrazy it. Other people can also contribute to our feeling of being crazy, because when we go through a narcissistic breakup, other people may actually treat it as basically a garden variety breakup and heartbreak. They may even say, oh, you'll be fine. Sometimes people grow apart, and this is just life, with zero acknowledgement of the toxicity and madness that you have just navigated. And it may even leave you with that terrible sense of, well, this isn't that big a deal. They may really do it if the breakup happens, not because of some more identifiable factor like infidelity, but even if that happens, they may say the usual nonsense of, people grow apart. A narcissistic breakup is not people growing apart. It's you being dismantled. And if they are the one to leave and you feel heartbroken, you don't feel like it was that kind of gentle process of heartbreak, but rather that you felt out of your mind insane and other people didn't see it. I guess I should be glad. It's been a little while since a heartbreak for me, but I did have a recent betrayal and many people around me were minimizing it. And when I confronted the other people, I said, the real crime here is not that you stood behind the other person, but that you left me feeling crazy. That was the part that was not okay. Helping someone healing from a narcissistic breakup isn't as simple as chicken soup and hugs and encouraging rebound flirtations or a weekend away at a spa. To heal from a narcissistic breakup, honestly, it requires almost straight up deprogramming so you feel sane again. To recognize that this relationship worked because you were destabilized and you were asked to sacrifice yourself, but you didn't consent to that. And that healing means that feeling sane, and that feeling sane happens by learning about these dynamics, feeling validated and heard, not by someone saying nonsense about how broken hearts heal. They do. But let me tell you, psyches and your mind and your sanity, that takes a lot longer. Thanks again.